From the mastermind of Sinister, one of the scariest films I've ever seen, we now have The Black Phone, a brand new crime noir horror film that I've been pretty interested in because Ethan Hawke's playing a villain, and he's pretty damn creepy. Wait, do you guys hear that? Hello?
You need to get out of my house right now.
What do you mean?
Yes, I used to live here, you idiot.
You used to live here?
In danger.
I'll be okay. Don't worry about it.
There's a killer inside.
There's a killer here? I'm just trying to review a movie.
No, don't you hang up the phone on me, motherfucker. Okay? Don't you dare.
Alright, that was creepy. Let's talk about the movie. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're going to be discussing The Black Phone. After being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, a 13-year-old boy starts receiving calls on a disconnected phone from the killer's previous victims. Like I said, pretty damn excited for this one. I love Scott Derrickson as a director. Whether it was from Sinister to Doctor Strange, I'm actually really happy to see that he actually went ahead and decided not to do Doctor Strange 2, but really much went on his own journey and decided to do The Black Phone. And for me, this was a film that had a lot of expectations because a lot of the early buzz was that this film was excellent. I didn't meet one person that did not like this one, so my expectations started shooting pretty high. The trailers looked creepy. And the film itself is very uneasy and creepy and very thrilling, but it's different than you would expect, and we're going to be talking all about that right now. But I do want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Are you excited for this movie? Do you like Scott Derrickson's previous films? Let's talk about that down below in the comment section, as well as hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies over here on a daily basis. But starting with my pros, and one of the big things I do want to give it is really much Scott Derrickson's directing for this film. It's very uneasy. The atmosphere he creates is absolutely tension-filled, it is creepy, and it's not your typical horror film where it's like a jump scare here, but one of the things I really did like about the jump scares is that it builds towards them and that you get so sucked in to this mystery, this crime, that when a jump scare does appear, it actually does startle your heart, which I gotta tell a funny story because tonight at my screening, some dude, and it was so funny, a jump scare happened, and then he ripped ass. Like, this dude farted so loud. And then you just see him run down the stairs. And I did not see him for the rest of the movie. So he was either too scared or he shit his pants from this film. Which, I don't think this movie's that scary. But the atmosphere it contains very much had me locked in and engaged. I was completely intertwined within this story of this kid named Finney trying to escape this man that everyone titles the Grabber, played by Ethan Hawke. And again, a lot of that goes to Scott Derrickson's directing because he only has such a little minor locations to work with. Pretty much this underground basement and what you might discover down there and the secrets that lie down there, as well as certain things that are going on with Finney's sister, Gwen, who really much is one of the big cruxes to this and carries a lot of the mystery of where this story might be going and how the certain victims that had happened before, what had happened to them. And I really like the way that, again, Derrickson was able to create this atmosphere that mixed and mashed and really much could have came off in a tone that honestly would have just been laughable. But because of the way that he's able to center it into a very realistic world, while even though we're dealing with the paranormal, they are very easily able to dissect into special elements like that, and I was quite impressed with that overall. The other thing that, of course, you have to mention is the performances. Ethan Hawke showcased earlier this year in Moon Knight that he can play an amazing villain, and I think in here he plays one of the most disturbing characters I've seen in quite a couple years. Now, I wouldn't go as far to say it's a character that, oh, it's the gore, it's the blood, it's what he's doing on scene that is scary. No, it's his mannerisms. It's the way that he reflects. It's the way, like, when he's just sitting down, the way that he's relaxed and moving or cricking his neck back and forth like that. These are the bits and pieces of his story that very much create a character that, honest to God, I was expecting to learn a little bit more about, but after thinking on the film, I was quite surprised and actually pleasantly surprised to see how much of a mystery they kept behind this guy. He's just a fucking creep. That's all he is. And I actually think that is very reminiscent to things that happen on in our worlds. There's just crazy people, and that's exactly what Ethan Hawke plays. As well as the kid who plays Finney, Mason Thames, I was quite impressed with. I think he did a really good job. Now, some of the dialogue and some of the moments with him, I think maybe aren't the best, and I'll mention that a little bit when we get to my mixed and con pieces. But also, Madeline McGraw, who plays his sister in this, is hands down one of the big standouts of this and has so many stellar scenes. And she does carry this tone that is, again, comedic, but adds into something that a lot of us would be feeling. And I like how Derrickson, again, was able to relieve that and make it feel real. This feels like something that, again, is just happening right down the street in your neighborhood, and you would never expect it. And that's kind of what made it really bring home in some sense of the way and make it even more scarier. For me, again, I think The Black Phone is one of the better horror films of this year, as well as maybe even last year. It's a film that contains a lot of thrills, scares, and even some good, jump scares. But it's a movie at the center of it all that makes it feel real and realistic. That even with the paranormal, whatever you want to believe, if it's real or not, they really go for it. And I was truly impressed with how Derrickson was able to create such an atmosphere. Like I mentioned, not every film's perfect, and I did have some issues in here. So diving into my mixed bag and con elements, one of the things that I did feel in this film was, most of the cast is a younger audience, and a lot of them are younger actors. Some of the performances weren't the best, and they did take me out of the experience, as well as the build up to this and what was going on. I kind of wish would have gotten there just a bit faster. I understand you're trying to build up this mystery and build up this character and this world and kind of what is the grabber, who is the grabber. For me, it's kind of just felt a little bit dragged out in the beginning, and we're seeing all these antiques with these kids. And I did like some of the actual family building of the relationship. Something I didn't even get to mention was the family elements and the ties, of course, to the Shaw's family, and of course with their father and how that is working along, and even the parallels that it kind of even goes to the grabber. There's some interesting elements in there that I was very impressed with, and I think worked in its elements. But there's certain things revolving around school that when you see these kids and these bullies, in the end of the day, I never thought it was really truly much needed, and I think you could have trimmed off a little bit of fat right there. And I do want to say my expectations were expecting a couple more scares than I actually got, and I do want to warn this because I think this will be an issue for some people. This is not a jump scare galore movie. This is more of an atmosphere, tension, and I kind of equivalent it to a crime noir horror film that, again, contains jump scares to it, but it's overall a mystery that you're trying to solve all at the same time of how this kid can escape. And that's what I loved about the film. But again, some people might have issues with it. Honestly, The Black Phone is quite brilliant, plain and simple. The way that Scott Derrickson creates an atmosphere that creeps you throughout every shift of the camera to every turn of a frame. For such a small scale film, there is so much to discover, and Ethan Hawke just goes all out. I find this to be a very must-see horror film that many people are going to come around and appreciate. There's some good levity to it, but overall it does feel like something that is just happening right down the street from you, even with the paranormal aspects, and it is something that will make you cheer as you love the characters that you are following along. There could have been some fat trimmed out, to be honest, completely. I think there is some moments in here where I was like, okay, it's dragging out a little bit right there. But man, did I thoroughly enjoy my experience with this film, and I can't recommend it enough. So with all that said, I'm going to give The Black Phone an A-. Thank you once again, guys, for watching this. Make sure to check out some other movie reviews coming up later this week. Got an Obi-Wan Kenobi review coming up very soon for the finale, as well as an Elvis review, which should already be up, and you can find that card up above. Both these films are premiering this week, and I can't wait to see your guys' thoughts down below. Thank you once again, guys, for watching, and of course, make sure to head on over to Samsung Films on how to see those films early. But of course, stay classy.